to this is the first of the interviews we're doing with industry leaders around the world for VINEX. And the idea really is to try and keep people up to date with how different producers and buyers are coping and reacting to the COVID crisis around the world. I'm very pleased to welcome our first guest.
Felix Solis Ramos. I'm the international sales manager and marketing manager of the group Felix Solis Avantis.
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you. Well, thanks for joining us today. So just to sort of, obviously the impact is having all around the world, and we're all at different stages, I suppose, of how we're having to react to this. Could you just perhaps just sort of summarize how the year has been so far for you in terms of going into the crisis, and then how the crisis has actually impacted on you, the business, and life in Spain?
Right. Basically, all this crisis came from everyone as a surprise, no? So we were during the first 2.5 months, we were doing well. We were quite stable in comparison to last year.
Yeah.
So the situation did not change dramatically. It was since the 15th of March when the situation started to change. And even though our business has remained stable, there has been a change, of course, in the structure of our clients and how they operate.
Okay. And in terms of how that's impacted with the business yourself, I mean, you're working, you say, from the office. Have you been able to keep the facilities open and the winery working? And what impact has there been actually on the ground in terms of producing wine or making wine?
And the government of Spain did set up some measures last week by which they closed all industries in Spain except the industries that were considered essential. In our case, as we are in the food and drink industry, we can remain open in order to guarantee the supply to the supermarkets. Okay.
So in Spain, we hear a lot about the actual lockdown in terms of people being able to move around. What's the situation there in terms of consumers and being able to actually get out and about to go and shopping and buying wine?
Right. I mean, consumers are locked down, but they're allowed to go out to visit supermarkets and buy from them. So you can go to the supermarket, you can go to the pharmacy, even though there are some restrictions in the sense that the same person is not supposed to go out more than one time a day to the supermarket. Also, some restrictions have been introduced by some retailers, like the amount of units of the same product that they can take, etc.
Okay. Similar kind of steps that's happening in the UK actually as well. Yeah. So in terms of your actual business, in terms of moving wine around Spain and then also export, what's been the impact so far in terms of domestically, and then looking at the export situation, getting wine out to your key markets?
I have to say that we are a business that is centered in retail in 80%. So 80% of our business is based on retail.
Okay.
And therefore we haven't seen a big impact up to now. No? We have seen the big impact coming from our on-trade clients and clients that are directly related from the on-trade, as they have suddenly stopped buying 100%, or of course they are asking for different terms, or they have different continuity of the business, no, to the retail. Retail has, of course, retailers are dealing with increased quantities in general. Yeah. And also the products that they are taking are going to more quality price products. So it'll be more basic products than they were.
Yeah. What's more entry level? What more value products? You mean?
More value products, correct. So it's a little bit the most popular products and the ones that sell more, and the ones that have the best price quality relationship, the ones that are selling most.
Okay. And in terms of export, how are things going in terms of actually getting wine out into the supply chain to Europe, to America, or? Yeah,
I have to say that the most developed countries, namely Western Europe and also the US, we have seen, as I said, an increased quantity of orders, mainly of this type of products because of the increase of consumption of wine during these days. That people staying at home and they like to drink at home, and basically people have started basically with primary goods, and now they have moved a little bit to more more qualitative or goods where they can find something, some relief, that the wine, beer, etc. But in what regards to other markets like Latin America, they are more on-trade centered, and also Eastern Europe, and these markets are the ones that are suffering the most. We have seen massive cancellations of orders coming from South and Central America, mainly because there is not a normal consumption of wine, because wine is normally has consumption on trade, and the wine is not considered as a day-to-day product. This is why from these countries we're seeing a massive decline in orders.
Okay, so in terms of your key markets, though, the kind of the growth markets, so they're the ones. I mean, do you see people having wine already in their supply chain, and they're now getting to the stage where they're looking to put in new orders, and we're going to see a change perhaps in the coming weeks about how quickly wine gets through the supply chain?
Yeah, as I think that from the UK, the wine consumption has increased heavily in the last 3 weeks. So the main retailers, of course, have tried to adapt their orders immediately to their increased demand.
Yeah.
So we have been quite proactive, and we have been very flexible in adapting our production and our supply chain to their demands. So basically, we have managed to increase our orders to the UK for more than 3 times what we were used to do in 1 week. So we have adapted to do that. For example, the UK for us is our largest market, and we have seen a huge increase in demand in the last 3 weeks. What we expect is that it will not continue the same. Of course, will continue high. I think higher than what it was 1 year ago, but not at the level that it was the last 3 weeks. That was really crazy.
No. Yeah. In fact, I think Tesco has released some stats this morning that actually shows that in that first 2 weeks, people were going to the shop sort of 4 or 5 times more in 1 week than normal. I think it was almost like they would keep on going back. So whether, obviously, when this becomes the new normal, I suppose we'll get a better idea of how it's going to impact in the longer term, I suppose, really.
Yeah, same. Yeah, this is what we're seeing, and basically, you mentioned one of our biggest clients, and this has been one of them where we have had to adapt our supply chain, because of course the orders coming from them have increased tremendously because of a much higher demand of wine.
Okay. So in terms of how you see the situation developing, I mean, are you optimistic or pessimistic in terms of how this is going to play out over the next, few weeks and months? I mean, is it hard? Are you having to try and put in different scenarios, sort of 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? Is that how you're planning things?
Right. Look, I think that this is difficult times, and of course they are times where we have to adapt our management system. So the way that we were used to deal with these big guys, these big retailers, has changed in the short term. I think that we need a managerial point of view that has to be much more adaptable and much more flexible. And decision has been taken every moment, and decision has to be changed every moment. So has become more a kind of very short term view. So we have to adapt to a different style of management here.
Yeah, and in a way, because people are working from home and they're sort of readily available, I mean, in a way, has it made it easier for people to actually have those kind of conversations? Whereabouts, if you were in a normal situation, you'd have people traveling all over the world, you'd have people in different offices, but because we are all literally, at our laptops, has it in a way made that kind of decision making a little bit easier or more flexible?
I think so. I think it's good. I think that this will change. This will be something that will stay after the crisis. No?
Yeah.
That I think that we will travel less for business, and we will do much more business this way, by video conference.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I've been speaking to a few people who, they're having daily meetings with all their team on Zoom, whereas normally people in the office are just sending emails to each other, and it's very hard to get a meeting sometimes. So whereas now we're all being able to react very quickly, you know, so.
Completely. Even people, you know, I see my father that is still active and he's the president and CEO of the company. He has never done video conferences, and now he's very used to this. In the last 2 weeks, he's all the time making this type of meetings. So I think that this is something that will stay, of course.
Yeah, good. Okay. So just in terms of how you see the actual production, the harvest and working in the vineyards in the months to come, are the indications that you're still going to be able to recruit vineyard workers and actually get grapes picked and looked after in the coming weeks?
No, we buy, although we have 1,000 hectares that belong to us, we buy most of our grape. So we are one of the largest Spanish grape buyers. Basically, the equivalent area that we buy with is around 35,000 hectares, and we buy from 5,000 wine growers. No?
Okay.
I think that of course there will be major problems in recruiting people, because a lot of people is coming from other countries. No?
Exactly.
Mainly from a lot from Romania, people from Central and Eastern Europe. No? And I think that, of course, these restrictions to the movement of the people will have a big effect on the availability of labor for the harvest. No, there are several measures that are being introduced by the Ministry of Agriculture in Spain. That is like the people that will work in the recollection of grapes or fruits, etc., will continue receiving the unemployment subsidy, for an example, and there will be a lot of flexibility and facility, and the government will facilitate that these people will be able to help with the agriculture. No, so still too soon to see, you know, what will be the effect on the harvest, but I suspect that there will be less people coming from other countries, and we will have to compensate that or to substitute that by people coming from our own country.
Yeah, working with more local people being able to work there. And is it too early, or what the feeling is about the pricing of grapes, and you know, and with that, so will that have a knock-on effect, you think, in terms of what pricing there will be in the market?
You mean for next year? I think it's still too soon. I mean, weather is fine at this moment. I mean, we are since September. There has been quite a lot of rain in general in Spain. So I think that the evolution of the grape of the vineyard is being better than last year. So for the moment, we can expect that it will be a good harvest. No, but I think it's too soon and too early to see. And also, what will be, because you know, the price of the grape and the price of the wine depend a lot also on the demand of bulk wine. No? And it's still too early to see, okay, what will be the effect of this crisis in the bulk wine market. No?
Yeah. Okay. And in terms of the way this is developing and the way you work with your key customers, have you seen any changes yet in terms of their requirements for more longer term buying, or trying to secure fruit for further down the line, or as you say, people are reacting more day to day at the moment? Has there been any kind of change in people looking to do, you know, longer term contracts? Or
I mean, that what you say makes complete sense. You know, people should be more concerned about ensuring long-term contracts, but the reality is that they are at this moment very, very short-term oriented. So we are at this moment, producers and retailers are reacting to what is happening day after day.
Yeah.
So it's very, very, very short-term business relationship. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's been talk actually quite a lot in the trade about the longer term impacts this might have, and how actually this may see even more sort of consolidation in terms of you know, the key retailers working with key customers like yourselves. I mean, do you see in a way an opportunity to almost get even closer relationships with your customers through all this?
Yeah. As you say, we already have a close relationship with some of our big customers.
Yeah.
Among them are some of the biggest retailers worldwide. No, but of course the off trade will gain even more ground to the on trade. So there will be more off trade coming in the next after the crisis is gone.
Yeah.
So on-trade will suffer, and I don't know up to which level, but of course they will suffer tremendously.
And it'll take
And
long to come back.
and the home consumption will continue growing. So the off-trade will become more relevant, and the big retailers will become more important. And of course, the suppliers that are more linked to these big retailers, I think that of course we will have the opportunity of increasing our business.
Yeah. Okay. And can I ask you, in terms of, has there been any changes yet in terms of what retailers are asking for in terms of own label or private label, or just coming to you for new ideas, or is it more a case of literally let's just use the stock we have, or has there been any change yet in terms of?
I think that the MPD discussion at this moment has been frozen for a little bit of time until all this passes. No, so at this moment it's a question of increasing production of what is already listed. No? I think that is everything about that. Especially products that, as I said before, products more quality, more value products, more lower or medium level products. And I think that you can see that the premiumization that we were experiencing in the last year, that is not happening now. So premiumization is going to stop for a while. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and people are sort of seeing that as being perhaps a bit more of a kind of a medium to longer term thing as well. The value end of the market might be where most of the growth is going to come from.
Yeah, I think so, because as you can imagine, the financial impact on the population, financial impact on the countries at a macroeconomic level is going to be huge. So therefore, there will be less income available to the average drinker of wine, and I think that they will adapt their consumption to more value or more medium or lower level products.
Good, excellent. And just finally, I mean, I know we are all still very much in the middle of this crisis, but you know, what lessons do you think you've learned so far, and what lessons do you think you'll take from this in terms of how you run the business in the future and how we live our lives going forwards?
It's too early to say, but I would say that all businesses in a business point of view, I think that business should be ready to cope with short-term situation, should be more adaptable, more reactive, and should be faster in decision making. And this is something that has happened now because of this crisis, but in the future, I'm sure that more crises like this will come. Mm-hmm. So this will prove the companies that are easily reactive and easily that can react and have a fast decision making. No, this is very important, I think. So it's more about management and service capabilities. How fast can you adapt the decisions? How fast can you adapt your production? And how fast can you adapt your stocks, etc. Mm-hmm.
And I guess although it's been an awful situation to be in, I suppose this is like a real life scenario of really, really stressing your own capabilities. You know, when things are normal, I guess it's hard to be able to really know how secure or how well your supply chain works. But I guess this is through bad circumstances is a way of really testing what capabilities you have within your own business as well.
Completely, I agree with that. Because I mean, you have to be. You have to give more service. You have to increase your service levels. You have to react from one day to the other, and at the same time, you count with less resources because part of your people is at home, part of your people is ill, or they are working from home, or some of them are simply not coming to work because they are frightened. No, so you have to cope with increased demand, with increased production, with less resources. So it's very challenging.
Thank you. Okay, and just any final thoughts in terms of how you see the things playing out, and any particular message you'd like to send out?
Well, we have adapted, and this is very important. We have tried to help and support our clients that are either on trade or very dependent on the on trade, because I think that we all have to support them in these bad moments. And in our case, of course, we have tried to give some financial support, some support from our operations, and it's something that I think that all the industry has to keep that in mind. We need to help these guys. This is very
Absolutely.
important.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think that's the key thing, is how the industry is really coming together. People talk about the wine industry being a a great people industry, and I think that's what is really coming out over the last few weeks. So
completely. So we shouldn't forget about them and not become blind because there is an increased demand, from the big retailers. We shouldn't forget about these guys that are having bad times and has to see ways of how to continue in the business medium and long term with them. This is very
brilliant. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much, and wish you and your team and your family all the best going forward.
Thank you. Wish you the same also, Richard.